What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Behind Show. Today is April 5th, 2022, and in this video, I'm going to be continuing my series of Path of the Draft. My last video was the first installment of the series, and that was of the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is my second of part 32 of Path of the Draft, and this video will be of the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions picked second overall, and on these videos, we're kind of going to be talking about the offseason moves by these teams, and also doing a 3-round mock draft from ProFootballNetwork.com. So let's go ahead and get started here. Looking at the Lions, their free agency and, in their offseason, they didn't make any huge splashes by any, major signings. But I absolutely love what they did. They signed DJ Chark to a 1-year deal. DJ Chark, in my opinion, is probably one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL, and he has been for the past several years. He signed a 1-year deal worth $12 million. I feel like that's a great signing for Detroit. And for DJ Chark, he was injured the majority of last season. It's kind of like a prove-it deal. If he plays really, really good, maybe Detroit can sign him to a long-term deal. But if he plays really good, maybe he signs somewhere elsewhere and gets more money than he thought he was going to get. They also signed corner Mike Hughes. Hughes this past season had 47 tackles and an interception. Getting more depth and more help at secondary is a good idea for Detroit, whose defense has been horrendous for years. And they also re-signed some of their guys. They re-signed, Josh Reynolds. In 7 games this past season for Josh Reynolds, he had 19 receptions, over 300 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They signed him to a 2-year deal. They also re-signed wide receiver Khalif Raymond, who quietly had nearly 600 receiving yards this past year, and he also had 4 touchdowns. They signed him to a 2-year deal worth $5 million. They also re-signed edge rusher Charles Harris, which I really like this signing a lot, to a 2-year deal as well. Charles Harris had more sacks this past season than he had his previous 3 years combined. Before this past season, he had 7.5 sacks this year. Before this year, he had less than 7.5. So he was really, really good this year, and I think he'll be a big piece of Detroit's defense for the next couple of years. And he also signed one other player who I think could be a big impact for them, and then is linebacker Alex Anzalone. He had a career high in tackles this past season, had 78 tackles in the 2021 season. They signed him to a 1-year deal worth $2 million. So some of these guys that they re-signed, when you look at guys like Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, Charles Harris, and Alex Anzalone, none of those signings are more than 3 years. Most of them are worth 2 years, except for Alex Anzalone. And they, like I said, they signed DJ Chark to a 1-year deal. So I like these signings a lot. I feel like they, even though they did not have a ton of money in cap space, I absolutely loved what they did. But I feel like they could have maybe got, maybe a year or two more in some of these contracts, like Josh Reynolds, Charles Harris, maybe a 3 or 4 year deal. But aside from that, I love what Detroit did in the offseason. So like I mentioned, the Detroit Lions have the 2nd pick overall. And in this 3-round mock draft, this is from ProFootballNetwork.com. Looking at it here, obviously Aiden Hutchinson was the 1st pick overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it's very interesting because the Lions, I think, are a team who could, trade back. I know a couple of Lions fans, and they are all for trading back. On these videos, I do not do trades. But however, my next mock draft video, my full round mock draft next week will be my first mock draft with trades. So don't be surprised if the Lions have a trade back in there. But, this is a team who has 2 first-round picks. They also have 2 second-round picks. So to me, even though trading back is a possibility, they already have 2 firsts and 2 seconds. Maybe you trade back and get a team's first next year. But I don't think the Lions go offensive linemen here. They have very underrated offensive line group. And there's been lots of talks. Maybe it's Kayvon Thibodeau, Kyle Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame, or somebody who's rising up draft boards is Trayvon Walker, the edge rusher from Georgia. I'm going to take Walker here. It's very strange because up until this past week, I didn't see any mock drafts Walker going number 2, but now I've seen it everywhere, and I think it might end up happening for Detroit. So with their 2nd first-round pick, their final pick of the 1st round, the 32nd pick overall, looking at some of these guys here available, Drake Landon should not be here. It's very surprising that he is. If we're trying to go be realistic, we're not going to take him. This is an amazing scenario for Detroit. I just don't think he'll be available here. That's why I'm not going to take him. I'm going to try to stay realistic as I possibly can. Nakobe Dean got drafted 28th to the Jets. That really sucks for Detroit. He's someone who's, it kind of appears that he's falling a little bit, but he's at 32. I think he goes to Detroit. He's on one of their top 30 visits. Lots of Lions fans like him at 32 or even 34. But looking at some of these guys here, David Ajabu, the edge rusher from Michigan, staying in state, I think it makes a lot of sense. And I know we already drafted Trayvon Walker, and I know they re-signed Charles Harris. But this is a Detroit Lions team who's had a horrible, horrible defense for so many years. And it's a big reason why they've, not been able to win games ever since Matthew Stafford got drafted. So I want to actually take David Ojabo here, the edge rusher from Michigan, with a 32nd pick overall. In my opinion, I like that pick quite a bit. I know Lions fans, I know you're probably mad because I did not take Drake London, but I'm trying to be as realistic as I possibly can. And looking at some of these corners here, I think, the Lions, obviously getting the quarterback of the future, and I don't think their weapons on offense are nearly as bad as people think they are. DeAndre Swift is one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, those aren't, top name receivers, but they did pretty decent for the, bad quarterback they had last year in Jared Goff. DJ Chark, you bring him in, very underrated. I think I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they went wide receiver, maybe a 32 or 34, but I just didn't want to go Landon there because I don't think it's realistic. Here at 34, I'm still kind of looking at defense. Roger McCreary, the corner from Auburn, and Tariq Woolen, a guy who is skyrocketing up draft boards. I mean, he is 6'4". He ran a 4.26, a 40-yard dash. He has a terrific wingspan. Watch his tape. He is phenomenal at UTSA. This is really back and forth to me. I think Roger McCreary, the corner from Auburn, will be the pick here for the Lions with the 34th pick overall. So 3 picks and 3 offensive players for the Detroit Lions. And I really like all those picks so far. Looking at it here, let's see quarterbacks available. Carson Strong is available, and I think that might be a tad bit too early for him. Currently, we are in a 66 pick overall. If he's available at 97, I would maybe consider it. But I think 66 is too early, especially when you look at some of these other positions and if some of these other players who are better than Strong, in my opinion, here at 66. Looking at here, edge rusher Nick Benito, the edge rusher from Oklahoma. He's very underrated. I think it's probably be about the range where he'll go. But we're not going to go edge rusher, obviously, because we already took Walker and David Ajabu. Corner, Kobe Bryant. I mean, that's somebody who's, I think, is underrated. And that would be a nice pickup for the Lions, but they already attacked corner once before, taking Roger McCreary, the corner from Auburn. I'm looking at some wide receivers here. John Mechie, that's a phenomenal pick here. They have him 63rd on their big board. The Lions pick 66. I think that'd be a tremendous value pick there. Also, somebody who's very underrated is Jaylen Tolbert, the wide receiver from South Alabama. I would probably go maybe wide receiver here. I know I just said a couple minutes ago. I mean, maybe they take a wide receiver towards the end of the first or the beginning of the second round. But we're going to take wide receiver here. I'm going to take John Mechie. I really, really like that pick there with the 66th pick overall. That's phenomenal value. And they got a wide receiver who could be really, really good for them for years to come. And especially, let's say if DJ Chark doesn't re-sign next season with Detroit, you have John Mechie, who is more developed and has more playing time. Maybe he turns into your wide receiver 1 or 2. But I really like that pick by Detroit. Carson Strong is not available here at 97. It kind of surprises me a little bit. I like Bailey Zappi, the quarterback of Western Kentucky, but I think it's a little bit too early for him at 97. If they took Bailey Zappi at 177, I think it'd be great, but I don't think he drops that far. This is the final pick here in the studio mock draft from Pro Football Network. And let's see here. Does anybody really stands out to me? Edge rusher, nobody really stands out in particular. Linebacker, Troy Anderson, the linebacker from Montana State, a guy who's really skyrocketing off draft boards. One of the most, one of the better players who's played at a very small college in Montana State. Haskell Garrett, I like him a lot. I think this would be a good pick for Detroit, but at the same time, when you look at Detroit this past season, they drafted 2 defensive tackles, I believe just last year, a guy from Washington and Aleem McNeil from NC State. So I don't really think they go defensive tackle. Looking at any other skill positions here, like I said, we already took John Mechie earlier. We're probably not going to go wide receiver again. I don't know. I mean, I keep going back to Haskell Garrett, and you can never have too many good defensive tackles, especially, because they're constantly, rotating and, snaps coming in and out. I think we're going to go Haskell Garrett here. I know that might be, unpopular, and some people might not like it, but I like it quite a bit. A very underrated defensive tackle from Ohio State. And I know it says 142 on the big boy here from Pro Football Network, but I don't think he even lasts to 142. I think he goes to the 90 to 100, 105 range, something like that. And, the Lions get him right in the middle, pretty much what I just said, at 97 overall. Great pick there by the Lions and really helping their defense. So when you look at this mock draft, 3 mock drafts from Pro Football Network, we were really able to attack, the defensive side of the ball for the Lions. I mean, we drafted Trayvon Walker, the edge rusher from Georgia, with the 2nd pick overall. We drafted David Ajabu, the edge rusher from Michigan, with the 32nd pick overall, the last pick of the first round. And I think it's a tremendous value pick there, a guy who was 100% going to be a first-round pick. Obviously he still was in the first round, but, had a, injury, at his pro day with Michigan, and he drops. And that's tremendous value. I mean, he's probably going to miss some time early on, but he has potential to be really, really good for Detroit. Staying in state, I like that pick quite a bit. With the 34th pick overall, they take corner from Auburn, Roger McCreary. I love this pick here. He's very underrated. And when you go back and watch, LSU when they had Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, Roger McCreary was pretty much the only corner to really hold Jamar Chase in check in college, which is something really no other corner could really say they did. And they could use, some corner help, like I mentioned. They signed Mike Hughes, but it's to a 1-year deal. I like that pick. And John Mechie, the wide receiver from Alabama, with their first 3rd-round pick, the 66th pick overall, getting more depth at wide receiver. They really need some more depth and more bodies at wide receiver. I love that pick. That's tremendous value. And then 97th pick overall, they take Haskell Garrett, the defensive tackle from Ohio State University. And when you look at this Lions team, I don't think they're quite as bad as people, make them out to be. I think they have potential to be very, very good. Give them maybe a couple years or so, and once they find their quarterback. And I know we did not take a quarterback here, but when you look at, quarterbacks, I mean, we're not going to take a quarterback with the 2nd pick overall. And by the time the 32nd pick, when it came to us, all the top quarterbacks were already gone. Malik Willis was gone. Matt Corral was gone. Kenny Pickett was gone. In my opinion, I don't think they should take one at 2, and one of those guys aren't there at 32. I'm not so sure they should take one with the 32nd pick or the 34th pick. I think Desmond Ridder has potential, but I'm not sure they would take him at 32 or 34. But it'd be very interesting to see, because I like this mock draft a lot by the Lions, but there is a chance maybe they take a quarterback, one of these 3 rounds, and maybe take one in the first round with the last pick of the first round. Who knows? But I really, really like this, mock draft here by the Lions, and I really like, their offseason moves. And I feel like they might surprise some people this upcoming season. And, that really about does it for this video, path to the draft for the Detroit Lions. If you're new to the channel or if you've seen my videos before, I would really, really appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time on the Sports Student Hines Show.